Yo, so we're live now, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the
Hooray.
thing and put it in the various channels and see if it
Hooray.
shows that we are live. Yep, we are live. So I'm gonna do this. Yep, we are live. So I'm gonna do this. We're still waiting on our other co-host to come in and talk. I don't know what's taking him so damn long.
You had to put on pants.
Shh. They don't even know that.
It's true.
I'm super excited. So this is the pre-show, guys. Welcome to Queer and Present Danger.
We're hanging out right now.
We're just hanging, waiting on the diva, the Don Diva.
Am I not signed in on this?
What?
I'm trying to find our own channel.
ACAPC.
I know. I don't know why it's not pulling up. ACA.
K.
Yeah.
C.
KA. Yeah.
Nope. No two A's.
KP. A.
KC is in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Alternative. A. P. Podcast. C. Collective.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for me. I don't know why it wasn't showing up. I typed that in earlier and just double checked it, but now I found us. We're here.
We're here. So, guys, on our pre-show, we're just going to be doing a little bit before we get started.
Don't mind me while I disrobe.
Oh yeah, disrobe for me, Daddy.
But we're a serious political talk.
This is for all of those. If you're watching this because you happen to catch the show early, put something in the chat so we know you're here because this is food. Oh, there's Ty. Has he been there the whole time?
Can't hear any audio.
Can you hear audio now?
Hello?
Okay. Oh. Hello.
Camera's being funny.
Tyler, this damn
there we go.
There we go.
He's there.
Go into your settings and change your settings from standard definition to high definition 720p.
In the camera.
So go to settings and then camera resolution. Because right now you look muddy.
We want to see that gorgeous face.
Yeah, I'm sure. There.
Right. The diva has to be the diva. Guys, that's right. Give us everything. Give us it all. Let us have it. Let us bask in your beauty.
I was like, I'm not feeling very diva without twizzling my stash.
Did you say cocoa in your stash?
Twizzling my stash.
Oh, like a
How does my
villain?
audio sound, by the way?
Your audio sounds great.
Sounds good.
Your video
is still trying to catch up. Yeah,
cool.
Make sure it actually took the 720.
Why is it giving you heartburn?
Because it still looks like it's in 480.
It did, but then I have. That's just the smoothing effect.
Oh.
I'm gonna need you to turn that smooth. Do you have it up to like
Oh, let me turn down the touch up.
watercolor? That's what it looks like.
It's only medium. That's all the way up.
Mine's on strong.
Oh my god, turn that off. You look like a Rorschach painting. I won't stand for it.
Oh man. That was great.
Okay.
That's later.
Anyway. You guys ready?
Of course. Why not?
Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Queer and Present Danger. Welcome, welcome. I am your host. My name is Jaybee, and I am here with my two lovely, talented, beautiful human beings. They are here to give me all of their knowledge and all of the things that they have in store for us. Starting off with Tig. Hey, Tig, how are you?
I'm doing good. Hi, everybody. I'm Tig at Tig1 on pretty much all the socials. I am, quick background, I guess. I am going to be the voice of dissent for a lot of things. My job is to make people question, and gonna get those off so you don't see the reflection of the screen. My job is to make people try to defend their points. So you'll hear a lot of questions and poking and prodding at our own ideas to try to make sure that we're giving a well-rounded response to anything that we're talking about. I identify as a Democrat generally, as far as the elections that I participate in, but I have a lot of varying viewpoints that make me not just fall into line with any particular part. And I hope to utilize those to help everybody learn a little bit more here. You'll probably find out more about me as we go through all of this.
And then we have the beauty, the grace, the faith so good that he had to blur it so that we would not be, our eyes would not be burned out by his beauty.
The light.
Tyler, how are you, love?
Well, my audio is, or my internet is really struggling with this stream. I caught like every fifth word of everything that just happened. And
Tyler,
Probably like most of our viewers.
go to
Wireless.
sleep when I
we need to get you
So,
hardwired into
just some minor technical difficulties.
We will get you hardwired. We'll link up.
I could go do that real quick.
You're gonna go hardwire yourself right now. Sounds like kind of show, Ty. Later. That's for the after show. That's for the people who pay for the Patreon for the after show, and they'll get
That's
Tyler
after show.
plugged.
Tyler plugged in.
Tyler plugged in. Well, guys, I want to start this out by welcoming you all to Queer in Present Danger, where what was our tagline?
We had a tagline.
We did have a tagline.
Oh Jesus! Are you talking about the thing that I found? I put up for us a while back.
Yes.
Hold on, please. That's way back in the notes. Because we're professionals.
We're professionals. This is
It
the first episode, guys. So we're doing
won't
this
get better.
pretty off the cuff, except for we've already done this episode once before, but we won't talk about
Further
that.
emphasizing our quality
But
work.
this time we know that we're recording because I see live 10 minutes 31 seconds in the corner.
Yes, that's how I know
Ooh.
we're live. Whereas we weren't the last time.
I don't know. Is this
Oh my
actually
god,
save
you
the
are having
stream?
me dig back through this. There's so much. Is this even the right one?
Say what?
Hold on. I'm in the wrong thing. I'm trying to find it again. Oh my god. I had like 100 of these, and I did not star the one, of course.
Well, then I'm just going to say we are at the intersection of pop culture and politics.
That works.
So,
If I find the one, I'll let you know.
yeah, if you find it, let me know. So I wanted to sit there, like, first episode, I wanted us to be able to kind of tell you a little bit about who we are and why we're doing this and why we think it's important. And what the premise of this show is, because what the fuck does queer and present danger mean? Well, to me, I feel like as we are moving into this election season, it is important that we all have a base knowledge, base level of knowledge and understanding of what is happening in the world or in politics as it relates to people who are queer and people of color, and how the things that are happening affect us. Because we like to talk about, oh, the polls say X, Y, and Z, and this and this and that, and what are the candidates doing? But really, what we never discuss is how these things are affecting our lives. And there are laws that are happening in all three of our states, because we live in two separate states. Two of us live on opposite sides of the state, and the other one lives in a whole different state. But there are things that are happening that affect us as queer people, and people of color, and all of those things. And so I wanted to have us sit down, have a conversation. So I picked two of the smartest people that I knew, to don't do that, to sit and just dissect these things with me. And so that's why I'm here. Tig, you told us a little bit about what your role is, but why are you here?
Well, first things first. I think I found two of the options that we had considered, because politics needs more pride and less prejudice. And the other one that I found, because this matters. This is a key part that matters. And turning political drama into queer comedy.
We will be doing we will be having fun with this. That is the goal. We want to engage you guys in a fun way, and you'll learn about politics. This is Schoolhouse Rock for homosexuals.
That sounds right. About me. Okay.
Is anyone
The
called this
reason I'm
Schoolhouse
doing
Cop?
it.
I think we lost Tyler.
That's two of us. He might need to go plug in.
Plug it in.
Back. For me to drag and vamp for a moment, I chose to participate in this when you asked, because for me, I believe that everyone needs to understand the real truth behind all of the politics that's happening, without any of the one-sided drama mongering that both sides are at fault about. We very rarely get the truth. We usually end up with some level of drama or fear mongering in order to sway voters to our side for no other reason than we scared. I'm not exactly sure how to reference it other than that. But finding that truth also means being willing to have an open openness to get that level of interaction, and that interaction can be poking holes in your own argument, poking holes into things to try to make sure that you have all of the information possible. So I wanted to come on here because I believe politics is a huge part of my daily life. It's a huge part of everyone's daily life, and it's something that we should all care more about. Um, Being politically active is a thing that I believe all citizens should be involved in. And so, if this is my small part to help people understand awareness, and especially in the queer community, um, I want to do that. I want to make sure that everyone understands the way the laws are going to impact you and how that will affect kind of where we're going in the future. So, yeah, I definitely just wanted to do my part, and politics has been a key part of my life for years. I'm happy to be able to share it with other people. And I can talk about all of the history and stuff, which we'll get to later. But I'm a big fan of knowing that stuff like this has happened before, stuff that we're experiencing in our country, and the history of that is easily reflected by just examining the pathways taken in order to understand where it might go in the future.
Nice, nice. And I would add, this is would be the point in time where I would ask Tyler what got him here. So, but because he's not here, I'm going to do it for him. So I'm here
Okay.
because I'm pretty, and we needed somebody to have a face. I'm also really smart, and I know a lot of things. And so I'm gonna, be the face and the beauty of this podcast. I allowed these lessers to come and do the show with us. So yeah, here I am.
It's like I'm
Thanks,
hearing
Tyler.
Tyler. It's like I'm hearing Tyler right there, ready to answer himself.
I'm sure that when he gets back on here, because he'll be on in just a second, that I will get yelled at for
You
that.
will absolutely get called out for that.
I will get
You're
called
going to
out
see
for that.
him very soon. So good luck with that. I'll
Yeah,
help.
well,
Don't worry. I'll help Tyler, not you. But
me at any rate. So let's kind of go over a couple of the top stories that have happened recently. I don't know if you guys know, but in Trump world, because that's where we're going to start. Because let's get it over with. Um, he is right now attempting to slow his trial in his hush money / election interference trial in New York. That is the criminal trial. That is one of 3 trials that are happening right now.
3 major trials, 91 counts.
3 major trials, 91 counts. And I think at the part of me really felt like, do we want to cover Donald Trump?
Well, so to jump into that too, he already gets so much press and so much time in that it's obnoxious to give him more. But you kind of have to talk about the giant Cheeto in the room in order to um make sure that you understand like where the other side is coming from. 'Cause if you don't take in their accounts, then you know the Trumpettes are gonna say you don't care. I care. I care that a sycophant is running for office and dragging people through with him. The man made a video. I don't know if either of you two know about this. The man made a video saying 2024 would be the greatest moment in human history, and then proceeded to use his fat face to block the sun with images of people from the eclipse looking up. And then as it went dark, i.e., the man blocked out the sun's darkness to descend. Let's all take a moment for that quick, really poor analogy. and everyone started cheering and applauding. That's an actual video that he put out and supported and put money into, saying that he was going to be coming in 2024 and it's the greatest moment in human history. That's the level of psychosis that man has. I'm going to be as impartial as I can be, but that was just a really dumb video. I just got to say it.
Well, listen, I am not going to be impartial when it comes to that Cheeto fucking. Oh, hi, Tanya. Love you. My friend Tanya came on. Don't forget, guys, if you want to talk back to us, we are watching the comments. So please tell us what you're thinking. Tell us how you're feeling. Tell us if you agree with us or disagree with us on things. I don't have no problems arguing with you through the internet. It's fine.
Yeah, and honestly, it's great because comments like subscribing is going to help get the ideas out there and get these conversations out there. And from 3 queer people, this is like help us spread the word for our group.
Right. So,
Tyler's here.
one of the big things that I got today, or that I looked at today, was this idea that, like, so Donald Trump, as we all know, got hit with a $500 million judgment. The appeals court went and said that that was too much, and they lowered it to $175 million. He then found someone to post that $175 million bond so that he could appeal. And now it come to find out that there might be some shenanigans going on with that. So what it tells me is that this man does not know how to not break the law.
Mhm.
Like you have to work hard at breaking the law as much as he does.
Yeah. I mean, even his True Social going public, there's already multiple people who have been charged with insider trading for that in a scheme to create a greater valuation than what it was at. Does that sound familiar to anything else that he's already been charged with? I think that's something that he's already done.
He's already like, and I think that's the thing that drives me the most crazy, is because like he keeps committing the same crimes.
Mhm.
He's he is crime Groundhog Day, and I don't appreciate it.
Just keeps repeating.
He just keeps repeating it. Like
keeps
one
doing
day, like he's like, one day this will turn out differently. Also, Judge Eileen Cannon, down in his case in Florida, is doing her best, her absolute best, to get that man off, and not in a fun way. We don't want to think about that. I don't want to think. I'm mad at myself for that.
No.
Oh my god, I can't. Anyway, she did reverse a decision that she made about the classified documents. But in doing that, she did not shy away, or did not pass the opportunity to tell Jack Smith that Jack Smith was wrong for not telling her how to do her job. Let me just go ahead and say this. And I'm gonna leave this to y'all. I'm gonna let y'all have the other side of this. Let me be a judge. Because if all I got to do is tell you, is be like, you gotta tell me how to do my job, and then I'll do it, then like I could do that. Like you're telling me,
yeah, that's not how that works.
Huh?
Yeah, no. You're asking,
that's
see
not
if
how
we
that's
have a
supposed to
different.
work.
Yeah, you're asking us to go on a different side against common sense. That's the simplest way to describe that. And the people that think that that's somehow that she's made any kind of a reasonable decision regarding this case need to understand She was put there by Trump. She literally owes the man her job, which should have, at the very beginning, caused her to recuse herself from the case. The moment that she was selected, it should have been immediately been like, I can't judge this fairly. This man is the one that gave me my job. I am supposed to be impartial. That is what a judge is supposed to be. But as we've seen across the board, from your basic courts in your local towns all the way to the Supreme Court, the complete and utter distrust of our system is so widespread that we can't even trust the Supreme Court to do anything, let alone the local officials who are regularly bought for their influence in making decisions. They're appointed or selected by people based upon money that we honestly don't have enough information about, and able to put out their ads and their opinions. And we don't pay enough attention to the fact that the judges get to do a great deal of lawmaking in this country. Because if they're the ones that decide the constitutionality of things, then they get to finally decide whether a law is just or not. And an immoral law can be upheld by a bought and paid for court system.
Right. I mean, I think what it for me, I think the thing that is frustrating for me as I look at this, and I look at really all of the cases, all 4 cases, all 91 counts, and I think if this was a queer person or a person of color or even someone who is not named Donald J. Trump and has the money and the wealth and
Donald
the influence that he
Josephine
does,
Trump.
huh?
Donald Josephine Trump. I'm gonna start making up the J. It's just gonna.
Oh, okay. I think it's John, but we don't care about that.
We don't care what it actually is.
But the idea that this is a person that if it was anybody but this person, then this stuff wouldn't be happening. He would already be in jail. He would already be like held without bond. You know, these court cases wouldn't be taking as long as they are to get done. You know, it is, to me, absolutely insane. And I love to hear people who are his supporters say there's a 2-tier justice system. You're right. You're absolutely right. There is a 2-tier justice system. Your candidate, your savior, you know, your cult leader is on the good side of that end. He is getting, they have been affording him a crazy amount of grace and latitude to do things that if anyone else in that same position had done them, they would be held in contempt and be in jail awaiting their trial. And it is frustrating to me to watch this happen and hear people say things like, you know, he's innocent and this is a witch hunt and there's this, because he has convinced a segment of the population that he is their savior. And I'm going to put a pin in that because we're going to get back to that later on. I got things to say about that. But let's see what else. So let's talk about something that Joe Biden is doing, or that Joe Biden has done, and get our thoughts on that. So Joe Biden has used another executive order to cancel student loan debt for millions of people. And I, for one, am happy about this. I think it's a good thing for people to not have to be saddled with student loan debt for decades. I think it's kind of gross what we have turned the financial aid
education.
Yeah, what we've turned it into is fucking terrible. And I'm gonna cuss on it. And you know, I have heard a lot of people talk about like, oh, well, they paid, I paid for my college and, no one offered to help me out. Well, we're in a different time. And I'm happy for you that you were able to pay off your student loans and do all of those things. But we're not there anymore. Like a lot of people who have, as someone who has student debt, you know, it is, to me, it is absolutely insane to be upset because someone got help for this thing that is crushing. It is soul crushing to get that thing every month and see that the fact that balance does not go down any further, even if you're paying it. And
Tyler, your thoughts? Oh, did I get him?
Tyler, can you hear us? Tyler's like, I'm just here to be the same.
He was having some connectivity issues, but your thoughts?
I'm just trying to actually like catch the. My internet is so jacked, and I looked on my phone, and it says that I'm getting gigabit speeds, and then I run.
Have you
a
hardwired
test on
in
my
yet?
hardlined computer, and it's
Oh.
saying 2.4 megabits per second, and I'm like, what is going on?
Oh,
it's got to be interfering with that. We can play a run with that
Which
later.
just happens.
We can play around that later.
Time.
Also, as a note, you can use StreamYard on your phone. So if it becomes too much, you can move it to your phone.
Yeah.
StreamYard, guys.
Yeah, to what we're using.
I may do that.
Do you want to do that and I can respond and then you can hop on? Or do you want to put your input in now?
It may be.
I don't think he can understand what we're saying.
Yeah, I think we're getting
first episode,
like
guys. We're gonna work these kinks out as we go on.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll go ahead. So as someone else who has student debt, I am all for the idea of trying to find a way to get us out of this. And as Congress, who is supposed to be handling the money for the finances for the country, in the Constitution, don't seem to care. It's hard to rely on them to do their job, and I find it fascinating and very good that he is taking the time to try to work through it with his departments to forgive and manage different opportunities for people to get into some level of better placement with all of this. The fact that we have such a setup in the country that prime example is someone who took out $50,000 in student loans and has been paying for the last 12 years, and they have paid something on the order of like $46,000 into it over those years, and then they look at their into their what they owe, and they owe $62,000. That's a fantastic, and I these numbers are coming off of my head, but you can absolutely go look these up. There are dozens, if not hundreds, if not thousands of cases that prove that the system that we have now isn't just broken, it is indentured servitude that keeps people down and unable to progress in life. So if that's the case, and if we're having to deal with that kind of system, then the system itself is the problem. Now, I, being the devil's advocate, will throw out the same thing that JB mentioned. You have plenty of people who bring up the valid point of, well, I paid for my student loans, and now my taxes are going to be used to pay off someone else's student loans. That's not fair to me. Hold on a moment. If we actually take a moment to understand how much of your money really goes to education in this country, you'd understand that it's pennies on the dollar, if we're lucky to describe it as that. Excuse me, I'm also fighting a cold. So that by itself, that deflates that argument. It is a valid argument where people are concerned about something like that. I have to give validity to it's a concern for people who've paid off their things. You have to provide some level of interaction. I see JB shaking his head, so I'm going to throw that out there. You have to provide some level of understanding of where they're coming through from. I don't have to agree with it, but I have to at least allow for them to voice their concern, and then I provide a response to that. So, giving validity to at least to that extent, I understand why that's a concern, but I don't agree with it being a concern that prevents myself and others from looking at our student debt and being like, I can't get X, Y, or Z. My debt to income ratio is too high because while student loans are taken as a percentage of that, because if it was actual student debt for everybody who has that, no one would get credit. No, everyone's credit would be absolutely ruined by it. But that's another example of how the system is broken, because if the credit agencies already take into account that your student debt is not to be considered as a full extent of debt, that means they're willing and able to hey Ty, that means they're willing
Hello.
and able to now you get to see, now everyone gets to see him in all of his beauty. That means that they get to uh take into account that I owe $50,000 in student debt, but only about 7,000 of that will actually be considered part of my debt. If the credit companies are already looking at it in that way, that they know that it's a debt that can't be paid in the same way. Then throw into the history of it the fact that college tuition has risen 400, 600%, something like that in the last 20 to 30 years, but the actual income ratio for everybody has gone up 15. You can't make the same argument that it is something that I should be able to pay for whenever the actual cost has gone up so much. Then throw in the fact that bluntly, it's Reagan's fault that we owe this money because Ronald Reagan is the first one who instituted it as
Dare
a
you talk bad about Ronald Reagan?
private. Ronald Reagan can kiss my big white ass. And anybody who's watching it, feel free. Feel free. Trickle down economics is a failure. The idea that somebody that we need to give more money and cost breaks to the rich when the rich have gone up 1,000 times their income, and the average person makes in a single day what a rich person makes in about a second. That's utter bullshit. My work, the hard work that I put in, should not be making this guy millions of dollars if I'm barely able to go paycheck to paycheck. And I have a well-paying job. I do. I'm not going to tell it online because then you assholes out there who disagree with me are going to go try to get me fired. But
And then I don't have to fuck you up.
yeah, but the point is you cannot make the same comparisons that you did in the past. And Ronald Reagan was the first one to institute it in California that made public education a expense that you had to do. This was back in while he was governor of California. He's the one that started the process of turning public education, public colleges into paid colleges. The idea was there's various reasons for it, but none of them were really valid other than I don't want certain people going to my colleges. If you really get down to the brass tacks, that's what it was. Now, if you really want to know who those people were, some of it was out of state tuition, out of state people taking positions at public universities that they were trying to reserve for in-state people. A good portion of it was they didn't want black people going there. You want the facts of that? Look into it. That is the actual truth behind it, and the reason why he started to push for that. And then whenever he came into higher office, he furthered that agenda and furthered that progress toward making colleges insane. Now, Congress itself did that whenever they did Fannie Mac and the
Fannie Mae and
public
Freddie Mac.
Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
that, well, it's combined now, so whatever.
It's Navient now.
But the point behind them was those options basically said to colleges, "Oh, we don't have to rely on state tuition? Oh, then fantastic. I'm a $40,000 a year college now. What improvements have you made for me to pay that amount? I want to stay competitive with other people." I won't say the school that I went to. If you've got a keen eye, you might see it in some of our episodes. But I had the opportunity to be an RA at my school, and the president came in and spoke to us at one point. And he was questioned by a more liberal minded person in our RA group about the justification for increasing our tuition from, I think it was 12 to 14,000 5 years earlier than whenever we attended, to $24,000, and why it looked like it was going to be increasing. And his response basically boiled down to, and I am paraphrasing, but it basically boiled down to, well, we want to offer opportunities for people, and that would require new buildings and new accesses and things that will draw people to our school. But we also want to give the point that paying more for a school gives the impression that our school is worth it. He said that to our RA group, essentially saying, if you pay more for it, it must be worth more. The education must be better.
Yeah, because that
That
goes back
makes
to you get what you pay for.
0 sense. Yeah, essentially. And the idea that we have some level of control over this system, that it's not going to get further and further out of reach for the average person, is utterly insane. I have a small child and know that by the time he goes to school, I will probably have to have $100,000 a year to go to college, for him to go to college. That makes number comical, but if you use the last 20 years, and because he's very young, and apply that to where it's headed, average college tuition will probably be in the upwards of $60,000 to $80,000 by the time he goes to school. That's just a general trend. That isn't some weird spike. That isn't anything like that. That is just a general trend. That's what I have to plan for as a parent.
And that
So,
to me is why I don't subscribe, or I'm not necessarily in favor of the idea that I paid my student loans off. So why can't these people pay their student loans off? Well, number one, I'm not listening to anybody who pay their student loans off with 3 cows and a wooden nickel. I'm just not doing it. And I mean that in the sense that, like, when we were, if you even take when our parents went to school, you know what I mean?
mhm.
For those people who had parents with college degrees, I don't have one of them. But the tuition was, you could work a minimum wage job, pay your tuition, and also have a place to live. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Though that is, we have priced a segment of the population out of higher education, while also still telling those same people that we priced out of higher education that in order to get ahead, you need to have higher education. And for, to put it in, to bring it back around to the queer and the people of color side of this, if you are a queer person, especially a queer teenager, and you do not have family that is supportive of you, then you are priced out of the market for going to college. Or if you are someone who, and this happens a lot, I hear it all the time, young queer people telling us that their parents do not know about their sexuality, their gender identity, all of those things, because college is so expensive and the parents are footing the bill, and they are afraid that if they come out or they tell their parents or their parents find out, they will cut that off and then they won't be able to finish school. And so it is important to, that we as a collective get a handle on college, to get a handle on student loans, to get a handle on the financial burden that is higher education, if we are going to continue to use that as the gold standard of how we get ahead in life. Because
Yeah.
right now, it's not possible. Like it's not, or let me rephrase that. It's possible. And I hate to agree with Roseanne Barr on anything in the year of our Lord 2024. But I say, like, don't go to college. Just don't go. Like,
Yeah.
because at this point, if you do the cost benefit analysis, the cost outweighs the benefits by a mile. Because you can go to school, you can do 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, whatever your degree, your level of schooling is, and you can still end up in a worse position that you were in had you not gone to school. You can still end up in a position where you are paying someone back for in perpetuity in it because you got a degree in a field that you're not even in. And we're not even talking about like underwater basket weaving or a liberal arts degree in theater and things like. We're talking journalists, we're talking communications managers, we're talking
Business
business
administration.
administration.
Yeah.
Yes,
great
come
one.
through.
MBA. I know so many people with MBAs that were still
They're working at Applebee's.
serving tables. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, you know what I mean? And I think this is going to sound radical, but it's not going to change until we as a collective say, you know what? College ain't worth it no more.
Yeah, and the problem isn't just the colleges. The problem is we were all fed that lie. I mean, it's just a lie at this point, and no one can really argue that. But or you could try, but I will slap you down so fast. But the companies that are currently out there all have these absolutely idiotic standards that they try to pull up. Like, I use my business or the company I work for as an example. The the amount of education required to be a program manager at the company I work for, you're required to have a master's degree. It's fine. And 15 years experience. Who the fuck is doing that? And they don't pay enough, bluntly. They don't pay enough even to the program manager to be able to afford taking that kind of a job and the debt required in order to get the degree that they're asking for. And then you have to stumble through 15 years of similar employment, including managerial employment, in order to get to that level. It's the likelihood is at least or at best it's insane.
So
But
when I was looking for a job last year, I came across this job that sounded perfect for me. It was exactly what I wanted to do. And their requirements were a college degree, which I have, and at least 10 years relevant experience. And it was a entry level job.
yep.
And it's like, okay. And then I saw one that was for to work in a call center, just regular call center work, answering phones and putting in stuff. And they wanted a bachelor's degree and 5 years relevant experience. And it was like,
Good God.
Yeah, I've seen those.
and it's like
They make
you
no
want
sense.
5 years experience to answer the phone, like, and
And a
to me,
bachelor's degree.
and a bachelor's degree. And it's like
Have you heard what they response is whenever somebody has offered up? Because I've offered up at this point of for the entry level positions. Well, how am I supposed to gain the experience if this is an entry level position? I have the degree you want, but how am I supposed to gain the experience? The regular response that I have been given is internships.
Yep, work for free.
You want me to work for free for 5 years?
Now, I will interject and say not all internships are unpaid.
There
That
are
is
There are a
true.
lot of internships that are paid or that have different benefits depending on the field that you're in and those types of things.
And
true.
I'm never going to tell someone not to take an internship if it is relevant to what you're trying to do and you can afford it. Because even in those paid internships, they're not paying market rate. You
Yeah.
know, they're paying well below market rate in order for you to come in and learn the experience. And I think that there is something important to that. You know, a lot of the experience that I have, um, came from working in other positions, learning new skills, and doing those things. But at the end of the day, you know if I'm applying for a job, you know, most jobs will train you how to do things their way anyway. You know,
Mhm.
they have a specific way that they like to do things and they want to train you in that specific way. So I don't understand, for me, I don't understand the need for experience levels unless you're in a management position. Now, if you're going into a management position, that's different
Yeah.
because you do need to have experience managing people, all of those things. But if this is an entry level position, I don't understand why you need relevant experience. I don't, because you're going to show me how to do it your way anyway. And
Yeah.
um, you know, and it's especially hard if you are somebody who is trans or non-binary, because if you're already walking into those spaces, as an other or as someone who is different. And it is
Mhm.
much harder for, um, you know, people who do not identify with the gender that they were assigned at birth, to land those positions in companies that do not have aggressive DEI programs. We'll get to DEI programs in a minute. Um, and so to me it is I feel like it is very important, it is very like that we as a collective really sit down and have a reckoning with ourselves about what we have done to, I will say, starting with our generation, because our generation was the first generation that really got told, if you go to college, if you get good grades in school, you go to college, then you will have a good life. And we are the ones that were told that did those things. We
The
did the
millennial
thing.
lie.
And then, well, I'm not a millennial, but it's fine. Um,
It is known as the millennial lie.
right.
Yeah.
But we did those things. We put those we did it. We achieved what we were told to do, and a lot of us are still living with our families. We're still trying to make ends meet. We still haven't moved essentially tax brackets. We haven't gone and gotten up that ladder the way that we were told we would have.
Yeah.
And again, that goes double to people of color and queer people, because we then have to worry about the bullshit that comes with working with other people whose values and things may not align with our own.
Yeah.
And as we move into this election season, I feel like it is far more important. This election is far more important than we give it credit for, because we have two candidates who are, not necessarily our first picks. Let's be real. I'm going to keep it
Yeah.
100. Joe Biden ain't my first pick. You know what I mean? But it is, so much can go wrong in the next 4 years if we aren't careful. And it is, it's a lot. So, guys, what we're going to do now
Yeah.
is go to our first segment, because that was just us talking shit.
Yeah. That was the opener.
That was just the opener. We're going to go to our first segment, That is our resident professor is going to give us drop some knowledge on us.
Hold on, let me put on my jacket.
Professor Tig explains.
Yeah.
Professor Tig.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the class today. As
What are
kind
we
of a
learning about
kickoff
today?
for a kickoff on this show and to inform everybody where we're going to be going over the next few months, because as was stated, this is an election year, and we unfortunately are forced into a two-party system. And I say forced because of election, uh, the way that our
Bias.
system is set up. Yeah, our election bias, but also just the way the system is set up. We've kind of been forced into that for the last almost 150 years. But let's break it down a little bit. So there are only two major parties in the United States. There's several others. You have libertarian, communist, socialist, Green Party. There, there's a lot of different options out there, but whenever it all finally boils down into the November elections, you only really are left with two: the Democrat Republican parties. Now, who are they? What are they? And where did they come from? Well, I've tried to break this down even more so than the last time when we didn't record it. So that way it'll make a little bit more sense. So I'm going to start with the Democratic Party. Uh, the Democratic Party traces its roots back to the early 19th century, emerging from the Democrat Republican Party founded by Thomas Jefferson and James Madison. The party coalesced around the principles such as agrarianism, states' rights, and limited government. Yes, that's the Democratic Party. Its early supporters included farmers, laborers, and urban workers. In the mid 19th to the early 20th, the Democratic Party underwent significant transformation during the mid 19th to early 20th century as it split over issues such as slavery, leading to the formation of the Republican Party in the 1850s. After the Civil War, Democrats in the South became associated with the Solid South, dominating politics in the region and opposing civil rights advancements during Reconstruction in the Jim Crow era. However, the party also saw progressive elements emerge, particularly during the presidency of Franklin D. Roosevelt, and with his New Deal politics aimed at alleviating the Great Depression. In the mid 20th century, they underwent and experienced another significant transformation with the rise of the civil rights movement. Democratic President Lyndon B. Johnson played a crucial role in passing the civil rights legislation, leading to a realignment of political allegiances. African Americans who had historically supported Republicans since the Civil War began to shift towards the Democratic Party, while conservative white voters in the South moved towards the Republican Party. We'll get to that in a second. In recent decades, pretty much the late 20th until the early 21st century, the Democratic Party has continued to evolve, embracing a diverse coalition of voters, including minorities, women, young people, and urban liberals. It has championed progressive causes such as healthcare reform, environmental protection, LGBTQ rights, and immigration reform. Democratic presidents like Bill Clinton and Barack Obama pursued centrist policies, while the party has seen a resurgence of more progressive voices in recent years, especially with figures like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. Today, the Democratic Party remains one of the two major political parties in the United States, advocating a range of social, economic, and environmental policies. Its platform reflects the broad spectrum of ideologies from moderate to progressive, and it continues to adapt to meet the needs and demands of its diverse constituency. So, brief TLDR for that is the Democratic Party started out in what most people today and Republicans love to say were the ones who did not support the freeing of slaves. They were the ones who did not want to have a lot of liberal policies. Uh, that is where they began, but through a shifting of ideologies over the last 100 years, throughout the early 20th and middle 20th century, they shifted uh, from those more conservative ideas to a more liberal progressive idealism trying to purport better social justice reforms, economic reforms, and things like that to help your average American find a better foothold for themselves. Now, that'll lead us to the Republican Party. The Republican Party has undergone its own significant transformation and evolution since it started in the early 19th century or mid 19th century. The Republican Party emerged in the 1850s as an anti-slavery party, uniting various factions opposed to the expansion of slavery into the Western territories. Its formation was catalyzed by the Kansas-Nebraska Act in 1854, which allowed territories to decide on the issue of slavery through popular sovereignty. Excuse me, the professor has a cold. The party's first presidential candidate, Abraham Lincoln, won election in 1860, leading the secession of Southern states and the onset of the Civil War. During, and Republicans will never let you forget this, just ask them, it meant that Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. That party doesn't exist anymore. Simply put, that party does not exist anymore. It has become the Democratic Party through the transformations that I spoke of during the Democratic Party's transformations. Following the Civil War, the Republican Party championed Reconstruction efforts in the South, seeking to integrate former Confederate states into the Union and secure civil rights for newly freed slaves. However, as Reconstruction ended in the 1870s, the party shifted towards supporting business interests, industrialization, and tariffs. This period saw the emergence of the influential Republican leaders such as Teddy Roosevelt, who advocated for progressive reforms and conservation efforts. Throughout the 20th century, so essentially the entire 20th century, the Republican Party experienced periods of growth and ideological shifts. It became associated with conservatism, particularly after the New Deal era of Democratic dominance under President Franklin Delano Roosevelt and Harry S. Truman. The Republican Party attracted support from conservative voters, including those who opposed government intervention in the economy and social issues like abortion and LGBTQ rights. Also, they weren't big fans of the civil rights movement in general. You can find all of that stuff as part of the general history of those parties. Now, into the modern era, the Republican Party continued to evolve in the late 20th and early 21st centuries with shifts in its policy positions and electoral strategies. The party saw significant success under President Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush, who emphasized conservative principles and a strong stance against communism during the Cold War. In recent decades, the party has grappled with internal divisions between establishment Republicans and more populist nationalist factions. Issues such as immigration, trade, and the role of government have fueled debates within the party. Overall, the Republican Party remains one of the two major political parties, with its collection encompassing various conservative, libertarian, and nationalist ideologies. Its trajectory has been shaped by historical events, changing demographics, and evolving societal values. And that has been the brief uh, breakdown of the two parties. The general thoughts from your professor is that if you look at where the parties have come from and what they have espoused as their ideals over the years, they have almost flipped 180 degrees, especially during the late 1800s and the early 1900s, really coalescing into their final forms by the 1950s. After the 1950s, Republicans are generally summarized as being conservative, fairly Christian ideology, and um, very much against a lot of social reforms and progressive values. Whereas the Democratic Party has been more centrist than anything. I would argue that they are a centrist party and not a liberal party. They do have progressive voices within the party, but by and large, they do their best to try to make sure that the Republican Party doesn't swing things further to the right, but doesn't actively work on pushing things to the left. As a result, we have uh, some progress in civil rights and economic issues heading toward a progressive mindset while they're in power, but we have not made any great progress in the last 40 to 50 years. As was mentioned earlier, there are key figures in the Republican Party, such as Ronald Reagan, have espoused levels of uh, focus on economics that were meant to be a pushback against the communist ideals of the USSR and its authoritarian communist views versus actually benefiting the average person. The idea being that our businesses had to succeed in order to show that capitalism was the better option. If you look at where we're at today with the struggles of the average person, it's very tough to argue that the uh, practices that they push, H.W. Bush and Ronald Reagan, have any real validity in creating a better United States. But that's just this professor trying to give you a little heads up about the world. I'll bring my other two back in.
Thank you, Professor. I really appreciate that. So I wanted to take a quick second before we get into our next break to talk about the Republicans for 1 second, or our next segment to talk about the Republicans for 1 second. So I was watching something yesterday on the YouTubes, and it was this video of this guy talking to Trump supporters about Christian nationalism. And the question that they asked was, do you think that that we should be exclusively Christian? And the overwhelming response was yes. And then until they found out that the Orange Cheetos children are raised Jewish, they are all Jewish. And then it was, oh, well, we should have, let them do what they do as long as they don't come, as long as they're not imposing that on me, then we're fine. And the only thing that I could think of was, oh, so you do get it.
Yeah.
And by that, what I mean is, when we talk about social issues, when it comes to the Republican Party, they are against abortion. And listen, three dudes are not going to sit here and have a conversation about abortion. But what I will say is, as far as
woman's right to choose, and now I'll shut up.
Don't tell people with uteruses what to do.
If you don't want to have an abortion because it is against your religion, no one is making you do that. If you don't want to get gay married,
I don't want to go into the religion aspect of that, but I have comments regarding that statement.
Listen, I said what I said, and I'm not taking it back. There are
no, I understand.
You can have your religious reasons for not doing it. They're yours.
But whether your religion actually says that is something that you're not allowed to do,
we're not having that conversation. If you don't want to have a gay marriage, don't do it. If you don't want to see, like, if you don't want to have gender reassignment surgery,
confirmation surgery.
No one is pushing this on you. But what you're doing is pushing your beliefs onto other people. And like I said, what that showed me, watching that video showed me that in some ways you do get it. You completely understand that if you don't want to do something, you don't have to. And I have always held my beliefs that my rights end at your front doorstep. And What I mean by that is, as long as what I'm doing does not affect you personally, mind your motherfucking business. Just like your rights end at my front doorstep. And on that note, we're going to go.
I was going to throw out the Republican response to a lot of people now, which states that we were founded as a Christian nation.
We weren't.
Nope.
We weren't. But we'll get into that next week.
We'll get into simple answer. No, we're not.
Or not next week, but whenever we come back.
Down the line. Yeah.
But that's going to bring us to our next segment. The hottest newsman on this channel, Tyler, is going to give us the state of the Rays. Tyler, what's been going on? What's going on in the race days?
What is up, everyone? All right, so state of the race. I found a poll that GLAAD, GLAAD, did back in February, and it says that nearly 48% of the people that they polled are more motivated to vote in the upcoming midterms than they were in the 2020 presidential elections, compared to only 15% who said they're less motivated. 86% of likely voters place themselves between 7 to 10 on a 0 to 10 point scale. So 10 being they will absolutely vote, and 0 being now stay home and play video games.
Can I do both?
If you get an absentee ballot, you sure can.
I don't trust them. Yes, I do. I do.
You trust them. You just don't trust people who will try to prevent it from being a thing, even though it's it is a valid voting method.
Sorry. It is.
Continue.
It is.
State of the race.
Continue. Is there anything else?
Yes.
Because I got one.
So one of the so then they go down and they rank basically like what motivated you to have this change of decision. And the most motivating factor was actually the COVID-19 response. 32% of the people that were polled on those things said it was the COVID response. After following that was the job and economics, and healthcare was third, and then environment and climate change were fourth. So with that, 74% of the people that were polled were fully vaccinated, and 23% of them had no vaccine doses at all. And 3 of them had one time. So I found that really interesting.
I mean, I'm as vaccinated as I'm going to be. Let me just say. And that's interesting. So I'm hoping that this means that is a number that will go up as we get closer and closer to the race. Because I think that, like I said, this is a very important one. This is one that we say it every time that we can't afford to sit out. Like, we can't afford to sit out. Like, we can't afford to sit down. Like, and I used to say, I don't care who you vote for. That's a lie. This time I care. This time I give a shit. Like, but I am as a black. I don't know if y'all know this, but I'm black.
What?
Oh my god. But it is to me, it is very important that we exercise our rights to vote and that we are making our voice heard. Yes, I have heard all of the things that your vote doesn't count or doesn't matter, and they've already picked them and all of that stuff. And, whatever. But what that's not going to do is use that as an excuse for me not to get out there and do what I got to do. You know what I mean? Like, it is, all of those things can be true, and I'm still going to vote. I'm still going to get out there and make sure my voice is heard for no other reason, but I want to be able to fully stand in my bitching. I want to fully be able to be indignant, because if someone says, well, did you vote? Sure as fuck did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the biggest problems that I have, is the people who want to complain and want to argue and want to say this country isn't working for me. Well, did you go vote? Well, my vote doesn't matter. Yeah, sure. Then stop.
Neither does your opinion, so shove it.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, like,
stop talking.
It's a self-fulfilling
Because if you don't care enough to do that, then you don't care about what's actually going on.
Well, I say it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like,
exactly.
If you say, I'm not going to vote because my vote doesn't matter, well, then, yeah, your vote doesn't matter because you didn't do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, like, your voice doesn't matter because you didn't use it. And, you know, my grandparents and, and in some cases my parents, did not fight for the right to vote for me to sit down and do nothing about it. I am the first I am the first generation of my family that has been, and I won't even say that we have full civil rights, but that did not live under some form of Jim Crow. And when you think about it in that term, like, it wasn't that long ago. And we like to think of it as like, oh my God, it was so long ago. My parents were born under Jim Crow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it is my aunts and my uncles were born under Jim Crow. So it's not that far away. It wasn't that long ago. And we need to stop pretending like it was. So, all right, what are we at? Hour 16. Okay. So, guys, I don't know if we're about to get into my segment, and I'm just going to go ahead and warn y'all right now. I've got a lot to get off my chest. So, the political fuckery is strong in this motherfucker. So let's just do it. Ooh, we gotta have a sharp drop off, but I don't appreciate that. But it's fine. Just hit the thingy. Let us know that you guys are here. Send us some comments and shit.
Send us some comments and shit.
So, political fuckery of the week. I got a couple of them. First things first, we're going to start with Arizona. Arizona, come up to the front of the congregation, please. Now, I know we said we're not going to talk about abortion on the show because it's three dudes. Three male identifying.
But people. We can talk about bullshit laws.
Well, we can talk about some bullshit when bullshit is here. And bullshit is here. So I don't know if you guys know this, but the Supreme Court of Arizona upheld a law from 1864 banning abortion.
Complete ban. Like a complete
ban on abortion from
1864.
Including incest. It is totally covered. It is only if it's the life endangerment of the mother.
So you telling me that stop it. That's all I'm gonna say. Stop it. You know what you're doing, and I need you to stop it. I don't appreciate it. How you gonna look? We didn't even have good lights back then.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't have nothing. We had just freed the slaves. So
you still couldn't vote.
We still couldn't vote.
Technically, there were several places that they weren't totally free.
Yes, it's true.
That is very true. So they were still. So some people still had slaves when this law was put on the books. And you gonna tell me that we're gonna use this law? That this law predates television, radio, ham sandwiches, chicken cordon bleu,
domestic violence awareness.
Yeah.
All these things, like
women's suffrage.
You know what I'm saying? Like we was on our 10th president or some shit like that. I don't know. When it was 1864, that was like Abraham Lincoln. 16. We was on president 16. We on president 46.
Here, you want another fun fact about all of this? That was a law in the books in Arizona. Arizona did not become a state until 1912.
So
wait.
The law predates the state. You're welcome. Have fun with that.
Is that legal?
It was a territory at that time.
I'm thinking that requires a vote of the state to add to the that requires a constitutional amendment. If that was not even a state at the time.
Yeah, it wasn't a state. It wouldn't be.
Those laws are null and void.
50 years. It would be almost 50 years. That's like an asshole driving down the road saying, "Well, I'm a citizen of the Articles of Confederation, and I am a traveler. You cannot pull me over." The fuck? No, dipshit. We overruled that.
Please, let's not get the sovereign citizens out here on our asses. I'm not ready for them. They just use word salad. They just put words together in configurations that don't make no sense.
Tell you, you're a fucking idiot. He can try to overtalk me, but you're an idiot. Come at me. Come at me, sovereign citizens. I think you're a bunch of idiots.
Oh, I thought you were calling me an idiot. I was like,
no. Sovereign citizens are an absolute bunch of fucking idiots. You don't know anything about law, let alone the Constitution and the history of our country.
You watched 2 episodes of Law and Order and think you know something.
Yep. But yeah, 1864. That was 50 years before Arizona was admitted to the United States. They're using a law from at the time it was a territory.
All right, so that's the first person that got to come to the conversation.
Defend that.
This now, Arizona, you sit your ass down over there in the corner and think about what you've done. Candace Owens, please bring your ass up to the front. I got some shit to say to you too.
This bitch.
Listen. First of all, I know you ain't got no black friends. Like I know. I can look at your hairline.
We want you at the picnic? Ain't nobody wants you at the picnic.
Nobody wants you at the picnic. You're gonna bring raisins. You're gonna put raisins in your potato salad. You're gonna put blueberries in your mac and cheese. You're gonna do all kinds of terrible
things. That's not no.
But I need you to come up and sit here right now. I know like your hairline is all jacked up, your edge control ain't on point. So I know you don't have no black friends. So what I need you to do is stay away from black media because you didn't give a shit about us before.
Hey, Bobo.
Have spent so much time talking about how white supremacy isn't the real problem that we say it is. We need to be worried about black on black crime and all of these other things until Ben Shapiro fired your ass is what happened because you were being anti-Semitic. And he said, you know what we're not going to do? I don't care about you talking about them black folk, about the black people over here. I don't care about you talking about them Negroes, but you won't talk about the Jews on my platform. And he told you to kick rocks. And now you want to do your black media apology tour. Well, sweetheart, they're not doing it with you. You stay over there with them white folks who have been gassing your head up and put a battery in your back for years. You're a grifter. You're a terrible person. And I don't know how many people know this, but I'm going to tell the truth on you. You were the person who sued your college for discrimination and tried to have the NAACP come and help. And now that you've gotten to where you're at right now, you have decided, fuck black people. And that's fine because we're like, fuck Candace Owens and Charlamagne the God and Joe Budden and all them other motherfuckers who have decided to put you on their platform so you can spew your lies and your hate and your bullshit to the people who don't know no better because they don't know how to conjugate a verb, because people who watch The Breakfast Club are highly unintelligent. I've said it once and I'll say it again. I don't give a shit. You can feed it to those people if you want to, but those of us over here who know better, we're not listening. Finally, Beyonce haters.
Oh,
And we're going to loop this back into politics in just a second.
I'm waiting for the loop here.
I understand that not everybody is a Beyonce fan. I have quite a few people in my life who are not Beyonce fans that I love dearly. I don't understand them, but I love them. Beyonce recently released her album, Cowboy Carter. I personally love it. I think it's great. But you are but I have not heard anybody give a critique about the album that wasn't, how dare she do country music? She's not country. Here's my problem with that. You are telling this woman who was born in Texas, whose family is from Louisiana, who has been to rodeo shows, who has done all of the things that country is made for. It is in her bones, and you are telling her she is not country. But yet, Keith Urban from Australia is a country artist, and you let her in with open arms. Shania Twain is from fucking Canada, and you let her in with open arms. Taylor Swift is from Pennsylvania. You let her in with open arms. What do these people? What's the difference between these people and Beyonce?
I'll take. They're all white. They're all
Okay.
white for 500.
So what you're saying, you said it, so I don't have to. So what you're saying to me is that because what makes Beyonce not country is that she's black. And it is a horrible, like, fuck y'all. Because here is the thing. These same people who are like, Beyonce put this country out, she's not country, blah, 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 are the same people who are like, Donald Trump is for the people. He's for us. He shares our values. You are delusional. You're delusional. You're delusional. And it is so frustrating to what I went through today and spent some time on Facebook, and I'll never do that. And I don't know why I did it today, but there were people who were like, she paid her husband paid $20 million for her songs to get played on country radio stations. First of all, no. If anyone paid any money to get her songs played on country radio stations, it would have been a record label. And they do that with everybody. It's why you know who these people are, is because they get paid. And secondly, and most importantly, they're like, oh, this is she has diva behavior. And, I'm sure that if she doesn't get what she wants, she's going to throw a fit. You don't know this woman from Adam. You don't have a clue who this person is. What you're doing is you're assigning what you think it will be her reaction to not getting what she wants based on your own racist mindset, because you wouldn't say that about a white woman. Nobody, and to go back and let's go back and even no one told Justin Timberlake, oh my God, why are you making this music for this you're not black enough to make this music. Everybody fucking went out and bought that fucking Justin Timberlake album. No one said Miley Cyrus, when she made her hip hop album, oh my God, you're stepping on, like, fuck y'all. Never mind the fact that, country was created by black folks anyway, but y'all ain't ready for that conversation. We're going to keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? Y'all ain't ready for that one. And finally, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Bring your ass to the front of the congregation. Actually, you know what?
Take your ass out.
You get a pass, and here's why you get a pass: because you're doing what I want you to do. You're doing exactly what I want you to do. You keep doing the bullshit that you're doing, because for those who don't know, Marjorie Taylor Greene has put on the Speaker Johnson on notice that if he puts the Ukraine aid package to the floor, she will make a motion to vacate his speakership. And I say, do it. Please do it.
Please.
For the love of God, do it. Let my people go. Do it. Because that is how we're going to get Speaker Hakeem Jeffries. And I'm fucking ready for it. I'm ready for it. Let us all pray that we get a Democrat House and a Democrat Senate to go with our Democrat president so we can get shit done. Even Republicans, at this point, Republicans are leaving the Congress in droves right now because they don't want to deal with her and her ilk's bullshit. And I wish that they had the courage to do the things to be like, you know what? You know why I'm leaving? Because y'all on some bullshit and I simply can't take it any longer. But they're not going to do that because they're not going to get the cushy jobs that they would get when leaving Congress. So they're scared. And I get it. Money talks. But I just wish y'all would say what the fuck is on your mind and why you're leaving. I've heard so many people talk about, talk on, online, or people who are in politics talk about the things that Republicans say behind closed doors versus what they say in public. And to me, if you're not willing to stand 10 toes down on business, then shut the fuck up. But that is all I got. I ain't got no more. I do, but I'm going to save it for next time. So, guys, that was the fuckery of the week. And that is our show. That's basically how the show is going to go. Each of us will have our own little segments. We'll put things in. Every once in a while, we may change things around. Let Ty do some political fuckery of the week, and he can rant and get things off his chest. Or let Tig do that. I'll be the professor or give you a state of the race. We'll figure out. We'll make things happen. There's some moving pieces in here. But thank you all for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if there's anything that you guys want us to talk about, we are more than happy to do that. We will be having some guests that will be coming on to talk with us who are more knowledgeable about things than maybe we are on stuff. Because this is we are a rainbow panel with rainbow ideas and rainbow feelings. And yes, Daddy, and all of those things. So, guys, we love you, and we will holler at you later. Don't forget to share this with your friends. Oh. That damn Tyler.
Oh, check that out.
you and your
damn
damn
iPhone. I swear,
little extras.
He's
making
so
us look like we
extra.
don't do anything. God damn.
Good night, guys.
All right, buddy.